I'm Sarah from a small town in Connecticut, US. This scary thing happened to me and my family back in 2012 when I was 10 years old. It was right around Halloween time, October 2012, when we got this creepy old doll from a relative who had just died. As soon as my mom and dad put the doll on our living room shelf, I had a bad feeling about it. Something just didn't seem right. The doll was a little boy doll with a mean-looking face. He was dressed as an old sailor with a striped shirt. His face looked so creepy, cracked up with beady black eyes, bright red circle cheeks, and a super freaky frowny smile that made me feel uncomfortable just looking at it. The doll's name was Robert. I think from the moment Robert entered our house, that's when all the weird, spooky stuff started happening. My parents would put the doll facing one way on the shelf before leaving for work. But then we'd come home and Robert would be facing the complete opposite way, like he had turned himself around while we were gone. So creepy. Or we'd find Robert in totally different rooms of our house, even though me and my brothers never touched him or moved him. I remember saying to my mom, "Robert keeps moving around on his own. It's so freaky." But she just thought I was overreacting. The weirdest part though was the little running footstep sounds we started hearing all the time, like something small was running around our house at night. I was convinced it was that mean-faced Robert doll somehow walking around by himself when we were all sleeping. Just thinking about it now gives me goosebumps. But then after a few months of having Robert, the super scary stuff happened that still haunts me. I started getting these crazy, realistic nightmares about a demon monster that looked exactly like the doll, with the same cracked face and everything. In the nightmares, the Robert demon would come stand over my bed at night while I was sleeping and just stare at me with those evil black eyes and mean smirk. Then it would attack me, scratching me over and over again with its long nails until I woke up screaming and covered in sweat. The worst part. When I woke up, I had actual scratches and bruises all over my body that were really there. The cuts looked so deep and painful, like I had really been attacked by something for real. It was terrifying waking up to that. One night in particular was the worst though. I woke up and my neck was stinging so bad with these terrible burn marks, like the demon had tried choking me repeatedly in my sleep. I could barely breathe from the pain and was gasping for air. Every single morning after those nightmares, I would find the Robert doll actually sitting outside my bedroom door, staring in at me first thing when I woke up. Just seeing that mean doll face filled me with pure panic and dread after the attacks I dreamed about. I begged and begged my mom for months to get rid of Robert, telling her about the haunting nightmares and scratches I was getting. But she didn't believe me at first. She thought I was making it up because I was just afraid of the doll's weird face. Finally, in February 2013, after like 4 months of pleading, my mom took the doll out to our backyard and set it on fire, burning it until it was nothing but ashes. I remember feeling relieved, like a huge weight was lifted off me when she did that. But even after Robert was burned up, I never felt completely safe or normal again after that experience. The nightmares stopped, but I was so traumatized and could barely sleep. Anything that even remotely looked like a doll would make me freak out and have an anxiety attack. I think being attacked over and over again by that evil demon doll, whether in my dreams or for real, I'll never know, left me with this phobia that still impacts me today. To this day, over 10 years later now, I'm utterly terrified of any kind of doll, action figure, you name it.
It was Halloween night, October 31st, 1952. I'm Jack, a regular kid who was 10 years old back then. I used to work as a nanny who worked to take care of children for the Robinson family in an old, big house called Craven Court in Tulsa, Oklahoma. From the first time I went inside, I felt a scary, bad feeling. The house was large with fancy decorations, but something didn't feel right. It was like someone or something was watching me. 1 month later, I was exploring upstairs when I found an open closet door. Inside was a very creepy, old doll. It was made of torn and dirty cloth. Its face looked like an ugly monster with an angry expression and pointy teeth. The worst part was that it had real human hair on its head. I quickly closed the closet door, hoping to forget what I saw. A few days after that, weird stuff started happening in the house. At night, my friends and I heard loud screams and roars, like monsters were in the halls. We saw cold spots and dark shadows moving around. Things would fly across rooms by themselves. Scratch marks that looked like monster writing appeared on the floors and walls. I was getting really scared, but I didn't want to tell my dad. He's a tough guy who doesn't believe in that kind of stuff. But on Halloween night, he insisted on picking me up after my shift ended. I'll never forget when he walked through the door of Craven Court. His face went white as a ghost. "This place gives me the creeps," he said in a shaky voice. Little did he know what was coming next. As we were getting ready to leave, I heard someone screaming from my bedroom. Dad and I were scared. When I turned on the light, that ugly doll was sitting up, glaring at us with its mean monster face. Before we could do anything, its sewn mouth opened really wide, and it let out a super loud, monster roar. The doll's messy hair was moving around like it was alive. It jumped off the bed, trying to scratch us with its sharp stitches and messy hair. Dad grabbed me and threw the doll across the room as hard as he could. It crashed to the floor, twitching and shaking in a nasty way. We were both screaming at the top of our lungs. Dad picked me up, and we ran out of that evil house as fast as we could. I was crying hard in his arms. Even my tough dad was scared out of his mind. The next day, I told people at the church about the bad doll. They knew about monsters and ghosts. They said an evil monster spirit was trapped inside the doll because of dark magic spells. The church people said it was one of the worst, meanest monster spirits they had ever seen. After trying to stop it lots of times, they said the only way to trap the bad spirit was to completely knock down and destroy Craven Court until it was just dirt. I'm older now, but I still have nightmares about that scary Halloween. I hear the doll's loud roar and see its ugly monster face. My dad has nightmares too. That night traumatized both of us and ruined my childhood by scaring me so much. So if you ever see a weird, old doll, be very careful. You never know if an evil monster spirit is trapped inside, waiting to come out and scare you for life.